if I turn my own. Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Here.
Councilwoman Spare? Here. Councilman Valerio? Here. Councilman Slattery?
Here.
Supervisor Dunning?
Here. Other officials and advisors present this evening. To my far right, Town Clerk Jenny Ignatowski. Also to my right, Deputy Town Supervisor Councilman Michael Slattery. To my far left is Councilor for the Town Jared Hurt. And at the side table we have Commissioner of Public Works David Lindsay, Director of Finance Dan Knapp, our Insurance Counselor Scott Bonnewell, and from my office Dawn Forte. Our stenographer is Sandy Hewitt. In the event of emergency, if you would please use the exits to the corner of the room. And at this time, anyone with a cell phone, if you'd please either turn it off or set it to vibrate, we'd appreciate it. So we do have two presentations this evening. I will start with Mr. Carey on from Good Energy. If you would, please step up to the podium and take it away.
All righty. Well, the supervisor, council, pleasure to always be back up in the western part of New York. My name is Edward Carey, and I work for a company called Good Energy. My presentation, I'll probably give you an overview of who I am, who the company is, and what we're trying to achieve. Again, my name is Edward Carey, and I grew up in the sort of the energy business. My great-grandfather was in the energy business. My grandfather had built a pretty substantial company. My dad's still in the business. He runs a refinery down in the Caribbean. I sort of, life went in that region. I went that path to follow energy. And my career has been like everyone else in this room, some ups and downs and sideways and lefts. I started off my career going to work for my family. Then from there, I started working for the city of New York. So I became one of the head purchasers for energy projects for the city. So I was hired within the Giuliani administration, then I worked for the Bloomberg administration for 5 years in the Mayor's Office of Environmental Coordination and Sustainability regarding energy. From there, during that time period, my biggest supplier was Amerada Hess Corporation. And so once I left the city of New York, I went and worked for Hess and really sort of took my training to.
Oh. Are you playing it?
In the Mayor's Office of Environmental Coordination and Sustainability.
What's it coming through?
Well, it's just like 50
it's an echo with the video.
Yeah. Got it.
You're on the
Once I heard
delay.
my voice.
But no, we missed what you said the first time, so it's good to hear it.
Yeah, I'm a technical expert too. So
Interesting.
So when I worked for the city of New York, then I went for Hess and went into their executive training program, and then from there, I was doing all large commercial, industrial, government, and I ran into a company of Good Energy 15 years ago. And at that time period, the owner of that company is like, "What do you want?" I said, "I want this." He said, "I'll give you this." And I said, "Okay, we'll settle for this." So that was, about 15 years ago. And when I started there, my primary job was to create government aggregations there. And at that time period, it was the company was probably, I would say, 5% government and then 95% commercial industrial type customers. So we go after large real estate. So if it's Jones Lang LaSalle or Vornado or whatever it might be, that's where you're. The company we're headquarters in New York City, and we have 5 offices. We're in Boston, New York City, Peoria, Illinois, Dallas, Texas, and London, England. And from there, we go after all different types of large energy. But in the last, I'd say, 10 years, the company has really transformed. It's probably, I'd say, 90% government now, and it's probably 10% commercial industrial. Reason being, government has very good credit. And that's what we're going after. We probably cover over 4,000 municipalities across the country. In that, we would do, the reason I'm here today is really to talk about 2 things: the municipal infrastructure, and I'm also here to talk about community choice aggregation, which you're sort of probably familiar with. Some of your neighbors or have had good experience and bad experiences. And so when we were in the state of Illinois, CCA, community choice aggregation, started in California, and then it moved east. And in the state of Illinois, when we got involved over a decade ago, Illinois was buying their power in this type of capacity, about 17%. In Fast forward to today, 97% of the state of Illinois buys their power in this type of energy, this way. And while we were doing this, we just kept on, win after win after win, and it's become like literally hundreds of millions of dollars in savings for the state of Illinois. That set out a beacon across the country and saying, what's going on here? What is that? The state of New York came and found us. We didn't go, our headquarters in New York City, but they came and knocking on our door and saying, what is that? We want to learn about that. We said, sure, so we became the lead advisor for the pilot program, which was Westchester County. So as in Westchester County, you have about 30-something municipalities participate in this, how they buy their energy. It's about 150,000 residents buy their energy, and that has been a major success for Westchester County. From that, the pilot program ended, and then the state started investigating, saying, all right, I want this. Now, currently in the state of New York, you have about 120 CCAs currently active right now. And what a CCA is if you took Chi-Li, all of their assets together, and you put them together, wastewater treatment plant, maybe pool them in with your Board of Education or whatever it might be, you're doing the Costco theory, you're buying in bulk, you're getting a discount. You could do the exact same thing with your residents. Now, the residents go out, they pool all of the average home is usually between 1,000 and 3,000 square feet. You don't have a lot of buying power with that. You take all of your residents, and your population you're approaching 30,000, is what I read.
Correct.
And then your household is probably 12,000 actual physical households. So you have a buying power of probably 10 million square feet. Like that 10 million square feet of buying power that we would manage. There would be absolutely no possible way a 1,000 square foot home would beat my price. It just wouldn't happen.
Edward, if I could, in regards to this, you're saying a lot of different things, but before you get too far, one thing you mentioned was our neighbors, when you talked about our neighbors, referring to other... Penfield, okay.
And Brighton has also moved forward. City of Rochester moved forward. We were not part of that.
They move forward in what aspect?
They moved forward by doing a CCA, and it was my...
CCA stands for?
Community Choice Aggregation.
Okay.
And they moved...
This is being recorded, so people at home,
Perfect. They went around the state. It was really I think it was... there was a nonprofit group that went forward with this called Rocktricity.
Mm-hmm.
And they partnered with a group called Jewel Assets. And when we go out and we do these types of bids, it comes down to a money factor. So when you go out to say, Chi-Li goes out just for their own assets, I could get you 20 bids within a week.
Bids from who, from where?
Different suppliers around the country.
Okay.
So it would be NRG, Constellation, Direct Energy, maybe a Calpine in there, maybe Talon, one of those type of mega companies, energy companies that would bid on your power. And with that, it would have happened with Brighton and City of Rochester is, to my personal, what I think, I don't think it was properly vetted. So they chose a company that didn't have the experience. It was about a 2 or 3 year old company, and it backfired on them. Our job is when we go in the state, there's to do a CCA, you have to, by law, you have to go through an administrator. And there are 4 administrators in the state. Myself, Jewel, Westchester Power.
When you say yourself, you mean the company that you're
Energy, that's correct.
What is your title? What is your position with this company?
Head of sales for New England and for the New York region.
Okay.
So how did it backfire on them? You said
With Jewel.
Yeah.
The company they came in. What I've read in the newspapers and stuff like that, the company couldn't honor the hedge, so they picked a company with a very poor credit rating. And when they went out and they hedged this, they couldn't support the hedge. And they also went in, how we were beat out, they said, oh, by the way, we're going to do this 100% green. Well, guess what? It wasn't. They lied. It was not true. So you have the supervisor down at Brighton saying, I just saw him at the AOT conference, and he said, they're in litigation now with them. Mm-hmm. It was a total mistake.
Really?
So it backfired on them. So when we went, why I'm here today really is like, you have three of the big associations that help out government. You have NISAC, which is a New York State of Counties. Then you have AOT, of which you're a member, so you have Association Town. And then you have all the mayors. You have NICOM, the New York Conference of Mayors. So we represent, Good Energy represent, they went out to Jerry Geis from AOT and Peter Baines from NICOM went out together and they formed NIMEP. And so we won that bid to represent all the supervisors and all the mayors of the state of New York through AOT and NICOM Association. So that's where NIMEP sort of came upon, was the collaboration between those two, and they chose us. They went around, they said, who's qualified, who's done this? My competitor does, I believe, has about 20 or maybe 30 CCAs under their belt. We have over 450 under our belt. We have, they have a couple of 100,000 maybe. We have close to 4 million customers under our experience.
So Edward, in regards to this, and when you look at the other municipalities like villages, Village of Churchville, they have Churchville Electrics, Spencerport, different.
They don't qualify.
Okay.
Like municipalities do not qualify for this. Oh, I thought you had a question.
So what happens to the local energy company like RG&E? Are you no longer getting?
No, they're, I mean, like, that's a most common question. People will say to us, like, or, hey, I have stock in RG&E, you're taking business away from them. Completely false. In the state of New York State is a deregulated state. So when you talk about a utility, and that's what they are, a utility is a mailman. It's like, so I always give the example of, like, if you went to, I don't know, Florida, and accidentally you left your sunglasses at a bar, oh, I forgot them, you got home, you call up the bar and say, hey, do you see, guy, we got them. They would take your sunglasses and put it in a brown box. What is that brown box? That's called UPS. Does UPS own your sunglasses? No.
Be FedEx.
So they deliver from A to B.
RG&E just delivers the electricity.
So that's all utility. It is against the law for a utility to make one single penny on the supply portion. They do not make money. They make it, it's their equipment, it's their poles, it's their pipe, they make all of their money on the transportation and the distribution of the power. They do not make it on the supply.
So they're still distributing it. They're just
Correct,
Right.
correct. It's just still, if
Coming from somewhere
some
else.
struck by lightning or there's an auto accident, the line comes down, whatever, it's still their job is to fix that power line. That's how they make money.
So before you go any further, so is your goal not just to have us as a town government purchase energy through you, but to get our residents also?
That's correct. Like, that's how we did it with Penfield. Penfield, we did a deal there, and they had a very strong sustainability group there. And they said, we want 100% green and everything like that. And we spoke to them. We said, again, with my background, like, I do a lot of hunting, fishing, stuff like that. I'm a big conservationist, like, and also with my training from New York City in the Office of Sustainability, I said, hitting those goals are going to be a fortune. And so we looked at it. We said, this is what you're going to. Said, okay. Like, and they want to be part of a clean city thing. To get that goal, they have to go 100% green on their power, but they're going to be paying way above the utility. So we said, do not do that. Go 50%, and if your residents want to, they can always, they call it like adding up. And they said, yeah, okay, we'll do that. And we did a deal with them. And in the deal with Penfield, along with, it was under Supervisor Tony LaFountain, we went through it, and we got them over $800,000 for really doing nothing. And we got them that money. So that's what, when we go into these type of deals for your residents, I keep, our biggest thing is I don't have a contract. So I cannot enforce anything. So we go to the residents, we come in and say, all you're doing is like when a young couple moves into a Chi-Li and says, all right, I'm going to buy this home, this and that. First thing you have to do is obviously you have to turn on the electricity. Then you go to the cable and stuff like that. But do you have a choice with RG&E? No, because they're the monopoly and they supply the power. What you're doing here is, Chi-Li, it would be a municipally endorsed program, and it'd be a second default for your residents. So they can go on an index rate, and that goes up and down, as we clearly know from the last 12 months, energy became a high priority in people's living costs. If it was gasoline at the pump, or if it's, heating your home, if it was natural gas, or whatever it was, energy energy has now absolutely collapsed. In the last 3 months, natural gas, which is the primary feedstock that creates electricity, was trading 3 months ago, it was at $9 wholesale. Now it's about $2.20. It's unbelievably cheap. We're gonna. That's where it's sort of a timing issue. I wasn't coming up here, when energy was high. We took a break. We said, these prices are way too high, but it was a bubble. That bubble has now popped, and now you have an opportunity to take advantage of that, and you should.
Do you?
I'm sorry, can I just want to, if I could, I know we've talked and we've had lengthy conversation, but for the sake of the board and anybody at home that's listening, I think to what Mary's original question was about the municipality and the rest of the residents. This is a town-wide. So if I'm not mistaken, if I don't have this wrong, so if we choose to adopt into a community choice aggregation program, it is town-wide. It's the entire town of Chi-Li. It's not just the municipal buildings. And so we make a decision for all of our residents, and the residents then, they are automatically entered into the program unless they choose to opt out. They have to choose to opt out.
That is the way the law is written, correct.
So that's why I wanted to have Ed here to talk to you about this, because he can explain all this a little bit better than certainly I can. But could be a sticking point for, do the residents really know what they're opting in for or opting out?
Yeah, that's like one of our number one questions. And what my objective here is sort of to get is we're not looking for a contract. What we want to do is give you a proposal. I feel very comfortable we'll be able to strike a deal, but I never know. Sometimes, you get into these types of situations, and all we want to do is say, is this possible? We know it's possible because we're doing Penfield, but we want to, every single township, every single home has a different thumbprint, has a different, the way the energy is distributed here is different than Pittsford or Rochester, or wherever it might be. But all we want to do is give you a proposal. But the only thing, it's a chicken and the egg, the way the law is written. You have to pass a local law for us to get the number. So you would pass a local law, a resolution. We would get that paperwork. We have to submit that to the DPS, the Department of Public Service. They then give us the thumbs up. We then submit that to RG&E. RG&E then gives us all of the data. We then get the data, we shape it out, and we say, all right, I can't go into the future, but I can go back 24 months saying, hey, this is what you paid for the last 24 months. This is where we are at now. And then, we just did a deal in Brookhaven, if you know Long Island. Brookhaven is the second largest town in the country. So it's 480,000 people. And, we did the deal there, and it took us 4 years to do that deal.
Well, let me ask you a couple more questions. So there have been, we're all talking conceptually tonight, but there have been these companies that have approached people, individual salespeople that say, show me your bill, I can save you money. And a lot of people feel that they were scammed by that.
100%.
They don't trust it.
Yep.
So that's one of the first things I think we're going to face a little bit of that.
I think that's what happened to Brighton. When it comes down to these deals, New York State has 200 registered energy supply companies, ESCOs, and totally agree with you. I'm in this business. This is what feeds my family. I would trust in the state about 25 of those companies. I wouldn't even trust the other 175 of them. When it comes down to these type of deals, because they are big, it comes down to basically 3 companies. Reason being is when we go out and we hedge these all the energy, we have to, it's probably going to be about $75, maybe $100 million worth of energy. By law, we have to have access, the supplier has to have access to 3 times the amount of what that is. So you need a company that has to have on their books access to $300 million in cash. There's only about 3 companies that can actually do that. It'll be NRG, it'll be Direct, it might be Champion, Constellation, that's it. So you're not getting 20 bids here, you're getting 3.
So do the invoices come through you or from RG&E?
RG&E. RG&E does all of the financing. They collect all the money, they collect everything. It's one bill.
Okay.
So Edward, so in regards to this, and when you're looking at, how long has your company been in business that you work for?
They started in 1999.
In 99. And what would happen, say tomorrow they no longer are around? What would happen to the people that signed up for it?
Well, we're the administrator, so let's say if NRG, like if you know, like
Yeah,
football, the NRG Stadium, like that's a company. So if NRG went out of business, the public service, I don't see them. I mean, you're talking about a $30 billion company, but they could. And if they went out of business overnight or whatever, or over the month, a notice would go out and saying that this company is now bankrupt or whatever it is. The laws that we have to follow about the public service are very, very, very strict. And a lot of it is outreach. And when we go into these type of deals, we have to tell every single resident will receive a card like this. They were saying, this is what's going on. The law states, these deals don't happen overnight. It's going to take us at least minimum 7 months.
And I understand all that, but just getting back to my point, though. You're here today, you're gone tomorrow. Contractors do it. They'll open up, one contractor, he'll be operating under one name. He'll go bankrupt, turn around, start another company under another name. So getting back to my question to you, what would happen to the folks if they signed up for this? Because you're basically a third party, correct?
As the administrator, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So and then there's, say as the administrator, you're no longer here. So now there has to be another administrator to come in and be that third person?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to, I'm looking out for my constituents.
Yeah, of course, you have to.
And so that's what is the process then? Say we wanted to go forward. What is the process? What is the timeline? And if you can lay that out for us.
Okay, the timeline, it basically 6 months. And you have to pass a local law, you have to do a resolution, and then you have to hire us as the administrator.
What about public hearings, public meetings, informational?
We have to, I have to come back here. By law, I have to come back here. There's got to be a public forum. I have to describe this to the general public. Do they want this? Is it acceptable? From there, everything has to be passed by Albany, DPS. We then get the information. We then send it to the people bidding on it. It will probably be 3 companies that'll bid on it. And we'll come back here with a proposal saying, does this make sense? Is there, we're not going to do a deal if it's 1% or 2%. We don't like that type of risk.
See, Edward, right there that's one of my hangups that we sort of skimmed over real quick. Informing the public.
Yep.
Public meetings. I would have liked it if you said a little bit more that, we would have had, a couple different meetings. People won't be able to make it on this night. So that's what I was looking for, is just reaching out to our constituents.
Yeah, I think every single person will receive this in their mail. We will also be advertising, the law states we have to advertise in 3 publications, so whatever publications, we'll find that out from the clerk, could inform us on what publications. We will go on your local cable channel, doing that as many times as you please.
Yeah.
We also have a rep, my colleague, who was on here last time, he couldn't make it tonight, his wife has a health issue, but he lives over in Greece. So you have a local person. I'm here from New York City, but his gentleman's name is John Berg. He went to Purdue, but he graduated locally from Acadia High School here locally, and he's been in this business as long as I've had. He worked for NRG. Yeah. Back then it was direct.
But no disrespect, when you said every resident's going to get mailed this, we do mailings for political stuff, yep. And we know where they end up. So people don't look at this and say.
Still doesn't really explain.
We have an in-house marketing team.
Yeah.
In other communities, first of all, we have to, we got to design a municipal web page connected to yours describing the program. In other communities in the Midwest, we've put up, billboards. We've paid for that. All of the marketing, I might add, the outreach is paid by us. You do not pay a dime of this. We pay for all of it. The only expense that might come out of Chi-Li, we might have to speak to the municipal attorney.
Hey, Jerry.
Okay. How you doing?
Can I stop you for a second?
Sure.
So when you get to the numbers part, now we're probably 4 months down the road, we get to the numbers part. At what point are we committed? I know we have to pass a local law to get to the numbers, but at what point are we committed? If we don't like the numbers, can we walk away?
It's not, at no point ever is the municipality ever at risk. This really becomes, it's a municipal endorsement. Again, I don't have a contract with the residents, so
Okay, so it's an endorsement.
if they would do a mass exodus, that's my risk. Like, we have to honor that contract. We've never had it done. Out of the 450 plus we've done of CCAs, probably the biggest walkout we ever had, we had about a 30% walkout one time, but they came back over the course of the contract.
But we're trying to show the residents, and in order to entice them to do this, the whole goal is that they'll save money on their energy bills.
Correct.
So
So let me
having
go
not
through
seen any of those,
let me go
it's
through the timeline. So we come back here with a proposal and say, does this work, does it not, is there too much risk here? You might not like it, we might not like it. So we part as friends and maybe we come back. But we do agree. We say, okay, let's go forward with this. So we get a bid and we convince you saying this is a good thing. The supplier would have to come here. You would sign their agreement. Again, there's no risk by the municipality. And then then we have to do the marketing aspect of it. So there's a 60-day marketing mandatory thing that we have to do. And it's literally a checklist of all these check boxes that we have to do to appease DPS in Albany and saying, you got to do all these things, whatever hoops we have to jump through. Once that has been completed and we can do it, it's mandatory that we do 60. Other townships wanted 90. We can do 90. We can do 100, however you want, the marketing aspect. Then once we satisfy DPS, then it's a 30-day opt-out. Again, the residents receive a card in the mail, a self-addressed thing saying, do you want to be part of this? Because after the 6 days of marketing, then the 30 days is the opt-out period. And we all know, you have some of your constituents, they don't like government. They don't like, so they're gonna say, I don't want to be part of this. Okay, that's fine. And so after that 30 day has expired, the program starts. The program starts at any point in time. You don't like this, whatever. I don't have a contract. So if these people want to leave for whatever reason, I don't even ask. They say, I want out, they're out. I don't have a contract. I can't say, well, you left, you didn't fulfill the contract, or you owe me $50, as you were saying before. Like those people signed a contract. I don't have a contract. So if they want out, they're out.
But we're going to have numbers to show them the savings, the potential savings,
Correct.
get them to sign, yes.
Correct.
But I think, and I think part of this, part of the answer, part of your question is that there is no commitment, and as Ed has said, there's no commitment from anybody. So if we adopt this program, we pass the local law, we adopt the program, it becomes available to our residents. But is there a threshold in which?
I was going to say, what's your cutoff?
So if we have 60% of our residents says, no way, I don't trust anybody, I'm not going to do this. Is this still a program that would be eligible to the other 40%?
Yeah, I mean, like, again, I travel around the state, and, I've had people come up to me and say nasty things, and I don't want to be part of this. Okay, that's fine. So they're out. And then they're cutting their lawn, and they're talking to their neighbor, and like, oh, wow, you paid your energy bill? And what'd you pay? Oh, I paid $5. Oh, really? Because I'm on the Chili program, and I'm paying $4. And then I get the phone call from Mr. Smith saying, can I come back in? Absolutely.
Edward, let's go back to answer David's question, though. What is that threshold? Dave, he said.
The
So
maximum.
if 60% of our residents say, nah, I'm not
I'm out,
doing this,
that
I'm out,
they-
and only 40% are going to participate.
You still have to honor that.
Is this still a feasible program?
Yes. I mean, once that,
Is there a threshold in which it no longer becomes feasible for the municipality?
no, I mean, if 60% of the people left, I mean, we've studied this pretty hard. One of the three companies, one of their traders has also studied this in very microeconomics, and we know our threshold is, if they lose on this contract, they're going to benefit off of Westchester. They're going to be,
Edward, you're not answering the question. You're being a great politician right now. We're looking for that threshold.
That one answer that's saying, if 60% of they left, we would still have to honor that
If
contract.
80% left?
80, we still honor. If
Let me
90,
ask it a different way.
it's never happened.
Is there a percentage you're looking for that makes it feasible? What if we start out with only 20%, but then they talk to their neighbors and more come in? I mean.
No. Again, this is an opt-out program.
They're
So-
opt out, so everybody's going to be.
So they're all in.
Okay,
And initially,
that's right.
unless
So
they opt
I'm
out.
starting off like, some people have already, they're on choice, they call it choice, or they're with an ESCO, And I don't even, when we receive the data from RG&E, I don't even know those people exist. So it's like, we don't get that data. So if there might be, and I think it's huge, about 3% of people are actually on these programs with residential. With businesses, it's 180 degrees. 99% are actually doing this.
I have a couple of questions for you. So you talked about the three big suppliers that you usually get quotes from. As this goes on over the years, are we locked into whatever one comes in the lowest, or do you guys continue to negotiate or move our, I guess,
Yeah, I mean,
business around?
at one point, like, like right now, I mean, energy is created by nuclear power, a little bit of coal and oil and stuff, but majority of it is natural gas. Natural gas is literally in the basement right now. Can it go any lower? Probably not. I mean, drilling companies have now stopped because there's just such a surplus of natural gas right now. Reason being is when the war took off in Ukraine, we started to supply mostly Germany and then Poland and like that. Our gas was going there. We were told by a lot of people saying this is going to be the coldest winter. Guess what? That didn't happen. So weather had a big factor. So we had a surplus. The United States, in the course of history, is like we have the most amount of natural gas on the planet is sitting right here in our country. So we've been exporting it all around the world. There's 4 exporting terminals in the United States. The biggest one being California called Freeport. Freeport blew up. They had a major explosion in there and they shut it down. So you couldn't get a majority of gas to leave this country. Again, a surplus of natural gas got pushed back into the country. So we have just an abundant amount of this gas right now in storage. And, with time or whatever, that price, it would be a supply and demand type factor. That price will come back up again.
But I guess I still didn't hear the answer though, like, so if we're with Constellation.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden.
That's good. So you go into that. So what we call is like, if we think you can get a better price, we'll blend and extend that price. So it's like a mortgage. Like we'll extend out. Traditionally, governments do 24 or 36 months. I don't know your charter, so I think most government is not allowed to go anything past 36 months. So if we do like a 24-month contract, and within a year we find we can get you a better price, we'll extend that out another 2 years or 19 months, whatever it might be, to lower your costs.
So there's no automatic, sorry, James, so there's no automatic time in which you go back out to bid or
we're
back
doing
out
this
to the
with
market?
Penfield right now, and Penfield, they did a deal with Constellation, and Constellation has been good, but NRG is knocking on their door pretty hard. And, they're coming in with better numbers right now.
But you don't automatically necessarily go back out to bid, say, 24 months, 36 months, and say, okay, now it's time just to go back out to the market and see, we know, you obviously know what the market's doing.
Yeah, yes.
So do you then take it back out to bid in a certain period of time, whether it's 24, 36, 48, whatever it may be? Is that an automatic thing that you guys do, or is it just, you just watch the market and if you see something, you go
our
out
job
for
is
it?
to maintain the business. So of course we're going to come back up here and say, yeah, we want to keep you as a customer.
Why are I guess it's probably easier to get a town to go on board, but do you ever go to the whole county to try to get?
Counties don't have jurisdiction over residents, so they can't do it.
Okay.
So only if you have townships, cities, and villages can do this.
So in regards to I'm sorry, Edward, in regards to this, when you look at, we have some large, and I'm sure you go to, other municipalities like Greece, Henrietta, where they have the big box stores and they have the malls and so forth, the Walmarts and so forth. We have Wegmans, they're big within the Child Eye footprint. Have you gone to them, reached out to them, just from that commercial standpoint? Because when you look at what they got to be utilizing, it's huge.
Oh, 100%. I mean, we have guys doing that business all day long.
So they've reached, so that you've gone to them?
Yes. With businesses, with the CCA, it's they call it an SC1 and SC2. So an SC1, SC2, they're small, they're residential accounts. So The businesses don't qualify for this. They can't participate in the Chi-Li CCA. They're not allowed to. So it's got to be, they're already doing this. I guarantee you 1,000%. Wegmans, Inc., they have an energy person, they're on a contract. They hedge out their power all day.
Okay, so then touch on this a little bit more. Then we have a lot of apartments in Chi-Li. Whether it's subsidized, affordable housing, nursing homes, group homes, and so forth. How does that come into play?
They will all benefit off of this.
So they're not like the Wegmans then,
They're eligible.
right?
Is that
They
what
are
you're-
eligible, yes. And they're eligible, and the other thing which is eligible is your Main Street. Small businesses will benefit from it. So your pizza shop, nail salon, karate place, whatever, they qualify this for.
Where does that drop off as far as size of the business?
Yeah, where's the threshold?
If what was
About the 60%.
Yeah, the threshold, what's the,
I wasn't going to use
Like,
that word again, sorry, I was just going to.
if they have an SC1 account, RG&E is going to send us that, and it's
Okay.
going to show SC1 business. So that's how we determine from a residential to a business. And every single month, we're going to be, we call it scraping the utility. So we're going to know exactly when people move out or move into this township. And once they move in, they're going to receive a card from us saying, hey, do you want to participate in the Chi-Li CCA?
So
Nope.
Ed, what about an apartment complex that
Community center?
electricity's included in that? So basically, the owner of the apartment, excuse me, the apartment complex is the one who's paying the bill. Would they be eligible?
Then he most likely in like a multi-dwelling thing, like a I don't know, a big, thing. If it's that big,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be an SC1, SC2, so they don't qualify.
Okay.
okay.
So then what other municipalities within the Monroe County jurisdiction have you gone to?
This is I think our first, I think.
Well, did you go to Brighton or I mean?
Brian was on, I've met with Bill Mole several times, and his council, one person didn't like me, and
Right, that's
they
okay.
went somewhere else.
What about Penfield?
Penfield, they're doing our program.
Right. Yeah. How long have they
Pittsburgh,
been on? How long have they joined for? When did they start, I should say?
3 years ago. They're coming up. I think they have another year left. The person who runs that is my colleague, John Berg, with Sarah Waters. She's the person who does that, along with I think are they between supervisors right now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I know that the current one, they just retired or whatever, what she did. But Sarah Waters was in charge of that program. I think they have one more year, but we're bidding that out right now.
You're also working with Pittsford, though, aren't you? Or is they
Yes, we're with Pittsford as well, with Supervisor Bill
Bill
Smith.
Smith?
Bill
Do you have any real numbers for Penfield? Like, say, your RG&E bill was, I don't know, $300 a month in the winter? Like, I mean, do you have any real data?
Yeah, I mean, when we did this deal in 2020. It was before COVID, and if you remember back then, oil was at a negative number. I mean, it was crazy how cheap it was. And we did the deal, and they said they had their sustainability group. It's like, no, we want more green in there. And we said, once you go to 100%, it's no longer a deal. Like, you're losing money on this.
See, when you say that, I'm sorry to interrupt you. When you say, because that's what you said, knock Brighton out, was that they wanted to be 100% green.
Yep.
But then you went back and you stated that a few times about other municipalities like Penfield, they want to be 100% green, but you said it's not feasible in the beginning.
Right now, renewable energy certificates, RECs, the way the CCA law is set up, like if I went to Wegmans, and that's a private corporation, or, it's like, they're not part of, and they're buying RECs, that's part of their ESG, sustainability group. They're buying wind RECs, or whatever RECs they're buying, out of like Iowa, or wherever they are, Texas. Like, the CCA law that we have to follow, if you want to go 100% green, it's got to be generation within New York State. So we can't go to Ohio. I can't go to Pennsylvania. It's got to come from New York State. So it becomes very expensive. And the only RECs that are available are hydro RECs. And they've been bought up. Again, they've been bought up by everyone. So right now, to get access to those RECs, to make it 100% green, it's become too expensive.
How do you make money?
Our fee is like, we're completely transparent. Obviously, this is government and everything. We'll give you the exact same rate that we gave Penfield. I don't know that exact number.
No,
but
we want a better rate.
But
Our-
No,
our-
how, so, I mean, you get paid.
We get paid
Your
by
company makes money.
volumetrically, we get paid, whoever the winning supplier pays us. So basically, we act as basically the broker. So we go out and we collect all the data, we do everything. The three companies come in here, they bid on it, and whatever the load is, our fee is in there, and it's like .000, whatever it might be, per kWh, or it could be per therm on gas. That's how we get paid. So if it's, let's say, I'm making up a number, if it's 1 million kWh and it's not our fee, but if it's, say it's .001, we would make $1,000. So our fee is built into that. You can do an RFP and see what other things. We're on par with everyone. We've already been vetted by AOT and Nikon. So I report up to Jerry Geis and Peter Baines. They vetted us out. We're a national company, very transparent on everything we do.
So do you know, like, what percent the average customer in Penfield is saving right now?
They save, it's not, what you're doing is basically, you're knocking off about $10 to $15 a month on someone's power bill. That's all you're doing. So over the course of a year, you're saving someone maybe $150, maybe $100 in that range. It's not the greatest biggest thing, but name another program, government, that's actually giving money back to a resident. There are.
The federal?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, so what we look at this is like the individual resident is saying, I have no, maybe $125, maybe $150. But collectively as a group, like we did in Penfield, they got $800,000. So they're pretty happy that
And where did the 800 grand come from?
savings. And with any type of savings, if you ever did a savings study, that money
Right,
will come
right,
back
right.
through your gas pump, your bar,
Over
your
1 year,
restaurant.
you're saying? 800,
800,000.
over 1
A
year?
1 year period, he's asking.
I think it might be $1 million. It might be 500. I don't know the time on that because I just called my colleague John before I came here. I'm like, what they save, and he said, oh, they're over 800,000. So that may be the course of the two-year program. So let's say 400,000 a year. It could be 500. Maybe it's 800. I don't know that exact
And
number.
you're a great politician, Edward.
What runs in the family?
Man,
My
Dancing
uncle was
with the
governor of
Stars.
Cary. So.
But interesting. Appreciate your time and the knowledge, with this.
I know we probably cut your presentation a little short with this
No, I
starting
think
with some
things have to move
questions,
on.
but
I mean,
you probably got everything out that so far that you wanted to get, and maybe a little bit more. Is there any other questions from the board?
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for hanging in there with
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
We'll chat. We'll see where we are with it. We may ask for a little bit more information, maybe participate in another, if we have some more questions as we consider some of this stuff, and maybe do a Zoom meeting or something like that where we don't have to drag you out of New York City, though.
I mean,
You're better
not
off in
a problem.
Chili than you are in New York City anyways, so.
I have no problem getting dragged out of there. So,
I'm sure you
we have a
don't.
beautiful township up here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But and then again,
Anything else you'd like to add before? we
If
wrap
I'm
this
not
up?
available, I get, there is a local guy, boots on the ground here, John Berg, who you met over Zoom. He's over in Greece, that's a stone's throw, so he can come over. Or I'd love to come back up here, because I know I'm supposed to meet with Bill at one point or another, so we'll be back.
Beautiful.
Bill Maley, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Bill Smith.
What'd you say?
I said
Bill
Thank you very
Smith.
much.
Oh, appreciate it. Thanks for all your time.
Edward, thank you.
Thank you, Ed, appreciate it. Well, it doesn't get any more exciting, I can tell you that. So I'd like to ask Brent Jensen to come on up. He's with our new audit group, the EFPR group. So wants to talk about our most recent audit that you all received copies of. So, Brent, take it
care. Have a good
away.
night.
Ed, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for having me tonight. I am Brent Jensen. I'm a partner with the FPR Group and the one who signed for your report this year. As was just said, this is a new relationship, obviously, and for a first-year audit, this went as well as I could have possibly expected. You have an absolutely great team. Honestly, in terms of getting information from a government, this is probably as clean and in-depth of information that I've had just given to me at the front end of an audit as I've seen. I work with counties, I work with state-level municipalities, public authorities, and even still, this is probably as clean as I've seen for that.
And why would you say that? No, I mean, what, you said clean and just the process, I mean, just.
We really had no adjustments, everything was considered. A lot of my clients, some of the newer GASB standards, we've had to help them through. We oftentimes do work papers to help them through the pension parts and the other post-employment benefit parts of the government-wide liability statements. We do other work like that for them. Dan had every bit of that already in the books and already in an analysis. He had a monthly level analysis of pretty much every single balance sheet account here, which is far beyond what most places are doing in terms of regular reconciliation and having the ability to timely provide information to the board throughout the year.
I mean, considering that the standards are, the same across the board, different municipalities, why, I guess I would question, why are they where they are and how come they're not to the level that we are?
Honestly, it's
Without
about,
getting into it,
it's about a commitment to the process.
Right.
Really. So now in terms of the information that's in the documents in front of you, we gave you the financial statement with our opinion, and we also gave you a small report to the board document as well. I'm going to quickly run through that information there. To start off, your audit was issued on March 28th, and you have a clean or unmodified opinion in the audit. We had no adjustments in the audit whatsoever. And in terms of the information now in this document, the significant accounting policies are all listed in Note 1 of the financial statement as is required. There was nothing that should have had a policy and didn't, nothing that was missing in any way. And there were no significant new accounting policies this year. As you probably have seen over the past several years in these presentations, GASB has been doing standard after standard after standard that have been required to be implemented. There was really nothing this year that required a significant implementation or a significant change to the financial statement. The performance of any financial statement does require certain accounting estimates. We found your estimates to be well supported and reasonable throughout the document. There were no difficulties whatsoever in performing the audit. I already mentioned no corrected or uncorrected misstatements. No disagreements with management. A representation letter has already been provided to us for issuance of this report.
Oh, in regards to that, what do you mean by that?
Performance of any attest engagement, which would be an audit and agreed upon procedures, anything of that nature, requires that we receive certain representations from you, that the information that was provided to us was consistent with all known facts, complete, things of that nature. There's usually about 35 to 40 points that all mean some variation of those couple things in a letter that you guys sign.
So there's a checklist that you go through then?
Pretty much, yes. And when I say it's boilerplate, it's literally coming off of a legally vetted document that goes to pretty much all firms. There was no consultation with other accountants in terms of opinion seeking that we are aware of, and no audit findings or other matters that are significant to report. I can take questions at any time. Feel free to jump in. I'm planning on doing just a very short look at the numbers in terms of your overall financial position within the document.
If you could, if you open in the document and there's a specific page, can you let us know where you're at?
Yeah, that's, yep.
Please.
Page 23 of the document. I'm going to skip right over the government-wide financial statement and go to the funds. The reality is you operate based on the fund basis. Government-wide gives you a picture of what's out there, but they've convoluted it so much with the various standards that it's become almost unreadable to a lot of people without significant government finance experience. So this is really what tells you how you're operating in the course of the year. Your general fund is obviously the most important. It's really the engine driving the government here. And on page 23, you can see that you have a fund balance of $15.1 million, of which about 5.6 is an unassigned fund balance. And if you flip forward just a page up to page 25, You can see in relation to a single year expenditures of about $10.5 million, you have more than half of a year expenditures just in your unassigned fund balance. That is a very strong position in comparison to other towns. And really, we could go fund by fund. You're pretty much in a position like that or better in pretty much every fund across the board here. The reality is the only fund that does not show that type of strength is your capital project fund. And it's really because the capital project fund is holding short-term debt right now, that if you instead had issued long-term debt, you'd have the same type of strength in that fund. But instead, you're using your surplus of money that you do have to eliminate the debt before you even take it right now.
So then we are better off than, instead of borrowing, you go out and buy a plow truck, which is, close to $300,000. Better off paying cash than borrowing that money over a period of time.
So in your current situation, I would say that's probably an accurate statement. Obviously, you save the financing cost, you save the time of going out and doing those agreements. It does affect your tax cap calculation, but given that you are not even going to the tax cap right now, I don't think that that's a major concern or consideration for you, unless and until you need to do so. So that's one of the reasons places often do issue debt and cycle debt, is to keep their tax cap numbers up. And I know that really hasn't been a consideration for you.
Thank you.
So all in all, your financial position is extremely strong. I'm not going to sit here and read off numbers to you. I'm more than willing to take questions. I would say the only things that you might see in here that any resident might get concerned over is on page number...
Well, don't tell them.
Page number 21, and I'm going to explain it away very quickly. If you look at page 21, and you look at the negative unrestricted net position of $6 million there, the reality is most governments in the state don't only have a negative unrestricted net position, they have a negative net position overall. That number is being driven completely by the combination of the other post-employment benefit obligation and the pension systems. Those factors, they take the life of a system and put all of the negative impact of them on the books today for something you're going to pay over the entire life of your employees. So it's a picture that's almost a liquidation basis financial, if you thought of it on a corporate side, that basically says if we wanted to get out of these systems today, this is what it would cost us. And that's just not a realistic picture. So for most governments, it drives the entire net position to negative. It is driving your unrestricted negative. But given that in New York State, you're not even legally allowed to fund the OPEB item, there's really no way to avoid that. And it's still much stronger than you see if you went to the financials of most towns across the state.
But here we are, we're working with the New York State pension system. So we're relying on the state comptroller to, as far as his investments and what he's looking at as far as a return.
And the pension system
Yes.
is not hurting you too badly right now.
Right.
It's actually shown as an asset on here because it's actually slightly overfunded in this financial statement. Because of the way they try to spread the change over multiple years, you actually have certain things, deferrals that they created a few years ago in one of the GASB statements that more than offset that asset, so it's still pulling down your net position a little bit. But in reality, the New York State pension system is not one of the systems that they were concerned about when they created that legislation or that standard within GASB. They were concerned about states, like I believe at that point Illinois was somewhere about 50% funded.
Well, unless the governor gets his wish before, try to go after that pension system and utilize that to balance their budget. So, hopefully that'll never happen.
Yeah, I think that there's a trust that's pretty well legally protected, but I won't go too far
Right,
speaking
right.
to that.
Yeah, the government's involved.
Yes. So that's really what I came here to say tonight. I'm more than willing to take any further questions.
Well, it's just, once again, it's
Other
very...
than Michael, any other questions?
I'm getting paid to answer them. No, it's just, once again, we hear, the cooperation from the town's staff assisting with this, so it just helps make your job easier and,
Yes.
everything being laid out on the table, so.
Yeah, and
Let's call it like it really is. You know, Dan has done an
Michelle?
Dan has done an amazing job
Yes.
with our finances. We're in the financial position we are with the work that he's done and how he's guided us in the right way to manage our money and where and how we spend things. You know, when you look at some of the bonding issues that we've had, that bonds out there that we've paid off, bonds on the highway garage, we paid off before they were actually all due to expire to go to long-term debt. We now paying off the bond anticipation notes from the community center, reducing that debt. We've made significant strides in in interest earnings off of investments and things. So he's done an amazing job in that department, and I know he does a lot with preparing a good part of this the financial audits to give them everything that they need to do their job, but also help save us some cost and the contribution that he makes. So, I say we as a town board have very, very little to do with the success here, and a lot of it has to do with Dan. So I just, thank you, Dan, and
Absolutely.
Thank you, Dan.
for what he's done for us, because he's done amazing work over there. So.
No, you're absolutely right, because one thing that we talked about during the community center process was just the interest rate that was out there. And then you look at the interest rate if we borrowed money, then you also looked at what our return was, on the investments. So that's something that was continuously being watched. And so we knew where we needed to go, where we needed to be, and what we could do. So,
Well, we got lucky with the interest rates.
yes, we did.
Yeah, we timed that
We
right.
got really lucky with
Yep.
some of that kind of stuff, so.
We did.
But, no, thank you.
I just have one question. How long did it take you to perform this audit for us?
so the very first time I came out and met Dan was in January, I believe, maybe end of December. Might have been end of December. I was out for about half a day just to come talk to him and get a feel for the place. And then we came out for really 1 week in early March, and we were issued by the end of March.
When you say we, how many people are?
So there was me and one other staff member actually physically on site, and we had one more person that kind of helped us out with a little bit of the administrative stuff in the back end in terms of getting some of the stuff into the file, trial balances up before we got here, some things like that. But that's pretty much what we're talking about a week.
It's pretty incredible.
So then your fee then is going to reflect that the lack of participation.
Probably means we can hold your fee relatively consistent in comparison to where
Or
most
lower.
other fees are going.
No, that's phenomenal.
Are there any other questions?
No.
Anything else you need?
No,
Brent,
thank you very much for the opportunity.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate
for the report, appreciate it.
Thank you for sitting through our first half.
Yeah.
Did you learn something?
Yeah, that actually was a new one for me. I've been to quite a few of these presentations, but I haven't seen that one before.
Yeah, okay, well,
Yeah, I'll see you there.
that wasn't a total waste. Thank you, Brent, appreciate it.
Thank you, Brent. Have a good night.
All right, so moving right along, we do not have any public hearings. We do have a public forum. I'm going to say for the sake of brevity that there is no public here, so I'm going to assume there will be no public forum. So we'll move right along to matters of the supervisor. One of the things that I do want to bring up, first and foremost, is that recently we have had one of our librarians have retired, Terry Sperling.
Yes.
Terry Sperling has worked for the town in the library for 34 years. She retired at the very young age of 93 years old, and she quite frankly, ran circles around the teenagers that worked over in the library. So I'd like to, thank Terry for her service over at the library and wish her very, very well in her retirement. I know it's got to be a big change with that much time that spending in the library to now being retired, but I would like to thank her for her service and everything she's done for the library over those 34 years. So, other than that, I really don't have much else. I don't think there's really been much before our next meeting or anything that we need to go over, so I'll move on matters of the council. Anyone have anything? Nope. Very good. We do have the minutes from the last meeting and also several reports that had been submitted. Moving on to new business, Resolution 118, the adoption of the Monroe County, New York Hazardous Mitigation Plan 2023 update, Town of Chi-Li, New York.
Second.
By Councilman Valerio, right? Yeah, and seconded by Councilman DeCory. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning?
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 119, Sound, Staging, and Lighting, Chili Fest.
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman DeCory, seconded by Councilwoman Spare. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning?
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 120, Entertainment Chili Fest.
Moved.
Moved by Councilman Valerio,
Second.
seconded by Councilwoman Spare. Questions or comments? Just like to say this is new.
Yep.
Completely new, not somebody we've had before, so.
Some new people.
Oh, really?
Twist.
No kidding.
Gates fireman to boot.
Should be
Anyway,
fun.
so roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning?
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 121, Contract Animal Care 2023.
Move.
Moved by Councilman
Second.
DeCory, seconded by Councilman Slattery. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning?
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 122, set a public hearing for May 17th, 2023 at 7 p.m. to consider the rezoning of the westerly portion of 4415 General Business and 4423 R115 Buffalo Road from GB General Business to R115 Residential Single Family, 15,000 square foot minimum lot, to RM Residential Multifamily District.
Moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Spare,
Second.
seconded by Councilman DeCory. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning?
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 123, donation to the Senior Center Trust and Agency account.
Moved.
Moved by Councilman Valerio,
Second.
seconded by Councilman Slattery. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning?
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 124, Child Life Fire Department active list.
Supervisor, I'll move Resolution 125 as well. Child Life Fire Department removed from active list.
Second.
Resolutions 124 and 125 were moved by Councilman Slattery, seconded by Councilwoman Spare. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning?
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 126, use of highway facility reserve, cold storage building and facility repairs.
First, moved. I think I got it all covered.
Pick one. Pick one.
All right, I'll second.
All right, moved by Councilman Slattery, seconded by Councilwoman Spare. Questions or comments?
No, I'm good.
Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning?
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 127, park security.
Move. Second.
Moved by Councilman DeCory, seconded by Councilman Valerio. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning?
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 128, disposal of surplus equipment.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Spare, seconded by Councilman Slattery. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning?
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 129, FFRPL grant. Moved by
Second.
Councilman Valerio, seconded by Councilwoman Spare. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning?
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 130, set a public hearing for local law to amend Chapter 369 of the Town Code of the Town of Chili.
Move.
Moved by Councilman DeCory,
Second.
seconded by Councilman Slattery. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning?
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 132, set a public hearing for local law to amend the certain sections of the Town Code as more fully detailed in this resolution.
Supervisor, I think you said 132. It's 131.
130, if I said 132, did I? Okay, then I will restate that. Resolution 131, set a public hearing for local law to amend the certain sections of the town code as more fully detailed in this resolution.
Moved.
Moved by Councilman DeCory, seconded by Councilman Slattery. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCori.
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare.
Aye.
Councilman Valerio.
Aye.
Councilman Slattery.
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning.
Aye, passes 5-0. Now, Resolution 132, water line utility right-of-way and easement encumbering 3235 Chi-Li Avenue, Rochester, New York, 14624 SBL 146.13-1-19.1. Moved by Councilman Valerio, seconded by Councilwoman Spare. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCori.
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare.
Aye.
Councilman Valerio.
Aye.
Councilman Slattery. Supervisor Dunning.
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 133, April 5th, 2023 abstract.
Move.
Oh, I need to, yes, I need to, where'd I put it?
That one is after this one.
I wrote it down somewhere.
No, this is the one.
No, this is the one. This has, I've got it. So this is to amend the total amount, correct?
Correct.
So the total amount on here is in error and should be reduced by $39.30,
Correct.
Okay.
okay?
39 what? I can't see. What is it?
So again, Resolution 133,
39.30.
with that amendment, April 5th, 2023 abstract.
Move.
Moved by Councilman DeCori,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Spare. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCori.
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare.
Aye.
Councilman Valerio.
Aye.
Councilman Slattery.
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning.
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 134, Historic Preservation Board. Moved
Second.
by Councilman Valerio, seconded by Councilwoman Spare. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCori.
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare.
Aye.
Councilman Valerio.
Aye.
Councilman Slattery.
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning.
Aye, passes 5-0. The next meeting of the Chi-Li Town Board will be May 17th, 2023. This meeting is adjourned.
And I hope you have a good one.